Hi, Christoph here. I'd like to talk through some proposed changes to the overall experience of the Bitcoin design guide. So this would not require adding new content necessarily, but just kind of reshuffling what we have, because the current structure primarily it's very similar to what we had at the very beginning when we came up with this idea of the guide and what we thought there should be in there. But now as we've evolved a lot further and added lots more content, sometimes you just need to make changes because of how things evolve, and I'd like to hopefully quickly go through this. So we had a 2-hour brainstorming session in yesterday, through which we discussed a lot of things that actually, not necessarily all the new things that came up during this session, but a lot of things that were discussed over the last half year or year or so. From this brainstorming session, there's a fig jam, and I try to summarize everything here. There are already some comments. You're also more than welcome to leave comments. But it's a bit hard from this to imagine what the end result of all of this is, and I think it's going to be a bit of a process to get there. So I wanted to show this here a bit more visually. So here on the left is that's the Bitcoin Design Guide landing page, like the cover, the entry point into everything. I expanded the sections in the sidebar here, so it's easier to see all the subpages. And this is pretty much what we would shoot for in the end. After all of these changes were made, this is kind of what this page would look like. And I'll try to talk through some of the changes. One of the biggest things is that we have now a thing called reference designs. The reasons for that is initially in the guide we thought, well, we're going to have a section about onboarding, and we're going to have a section about private key management, we're going to have a section about payments. What we ended up doing in the end, after version 1 of the guide with Bitcoin, version 2 with Lightning, the onboarding and payments section ended up being very focused on very specific products, which is a Lightning first mobile wallet. Happens also that this daily spending case study here is also about a Lightning first mobile wallet. So this page and these two sections describe the exact same thing. So and now we want to turn this into one very big reference design. The term case studies, we also want to change case studies. We want to use that as an analysis of some other third-party product, for example, through the Bitcoin design sprints. And we want to rename this to reference design, which is more like, hey, we came up with a design and kind of an idealized optimal design that we think is great, that other projects then can refer to in their own implementations. So just slight reframing. So, and if we do that, here you will see on this new homepage, there's a reference design. And then we would have this massive daily spending wallet, which will have about 10, 12 subpages. And then we have these other reference design. So that is another shift happening here from having lots of pages that individually describe things to focusing more on the actual end user experience. So initially our pages were more text-based, but then over time we added a lot more very specific, very detailed UI mockups, maybe some prototypes, galleries of full mocked up user flows. So it became much more execution focused and a little less technical. So we want to move some of the technical stuff into a new section called How It Works. So, and keep these reference design sections more focused on what the user actually sees, how they interact with things, that type of stuff. Hope that all kind of made sense now. I also want to talk about what this would look now from the top. So you come here, Bitcoin Design Guide. Currently you see this, a very big image. We want to put content further up. So here you dive much more straight into the content. We want to improve the search using a search party provider like Algolia to give better results, because they're not the best right now. We use a very simple search mechanism. Then we want to address the 3 different user types we identified. Getting started, new to Bitcoin. So here a designer comes here and they think, okay, where do I start? I'm new here. So, okay, I'm new to Bitcoin. And then it highlights some of the sections that are starting points for me. Like, how does this open design thing work? What's the visual language, kind of the brand of Bitcoin, or or tell me more about the tech here. There are more pages in this section, but highlighting some of the top ones allows us to give specific entry points. The second user type is, okay, now that I know I'm familiar with Bitcoin, I'm focused on designing a product. Not a specific product, but in general. The copy here is not correct here yet, but there's in designing Bitcoin products, it's focused on generally useful information, like what's the usage life cycle of a typical Bitcoin user? What are some of the common user flows and activities that a Bitcoin user has? What units and symbols, for example, comes in here, because that's not specific to, let's say, daily spending wallet, but any Bitcoin product needs to format Bitcoin numbers, for examples, and units. So that is kind of the general design process, design information. Then these reference design, they're more helpful for designers who now they understand Bitcoin fairly well, at least. They're familiar with designing Bitcoin products in general, but they're working on a very specific product. So I might work on savings as kind of a 2 of 3 multi-sig mobile wallet. Daily spending is Lightning first. So I'm working on this, and this section here then becomes my reference point. So I might currently be working on, sending or requesting Bitcoin, or an activity feed, a transaction history. This might be then my go-to point, and it's all of these pages are now focused on one specific product here. The savings wallet, upgradable account, and shared accounts reference design currently do not have subpages, but they could have eventually if somebody decides that's what they want to do. And we would also have room to add a merchant section if somebody wants to create a ATM UI reference design or anything else. There's more we could put in here. So we now have a few different use cases or user behaviors. I can search something specific. I'm new to everything. I'm familiar with Bitcoin. I kind of want to learn more about how to design for this in this ecosystem and these types of products. I'm working on very specific products here and refer to them. Daily spending wallet and savings wallet describe specific products. Progressive security is a little bit more of a concept, and shared accounts as well. So shared accounts describes, it's almost more like a mechanism, right? It could describe in a company where multiple people manage the same wallet via multi-sig. It could be parents and kid gets allowance and the parents help manage the kid's wallet or something. So it's kind of a mechanism that can be used for different use cases. And so this page is a little bit more, it's slightly different than these very product-focused reference designs, but still very valid. Then we go into the how it works. So if we look at something like automatic cloud backup or manual backup, those are also techniques that are important, or technologies that are important to understand, but they're not unique to a specific case study or reference design. Both the savings wallet and the daily spending wallet could use automatic cloud backup, for example. So we're isolating some of these how it works things away from the reference designs and case studies, because they're generally by themselves good and important to understand, and then it can be used and applied in different ways in different contexts. We thought about calling it technologies, but how it works just seems a little bit more obvious. Then resources, this is a new one. We put research references in here, shared design files. So anything else, any type of resource, any tool, anything else that's helpful for people, designers, to do their job that doesn't fit elsewhere could go in here. Glossary, same as before. Contribute, same as before. So those are kind of the primary changes. I hope I kind of covered everything, and this allows everyone to get a little bit of a better idea here. I'll share all of this together and hope to get some feedback, and we're totally open for proposals for other changes as well. There's some other things we discussed, like putting in more video material in the pages and a few other things. So any feedback on how you currently use the guide, if this makes it easier for you, if you have other ideas, all of these things are great to hear. Thank you.